For today's video, I decided to try a new indie horror game that just came out, one that I had never heard of before, Yuoni. It's available on Steam, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series. MSRP is only $22 US. But you can also pre-order a standard physical edition for PlayStation 4 and 5 at $30 US, available as an Asian English or Japanese copy. Then there's a special Sunset edition for PlayStation 5 that includes a postcard and special game case for $35 US, and that is a European PEGI rated release. So for those of you collecting PlayStation 5 games, it's something to consider. Anyway, on to the game. So in this game you play as Ai, a grade schooler in 1990s Japan, trapped in a living ghost story where a hospital, school, and Japanese home are all inexplicably connected. You must run, hide, and navigate your way through the maze-like complex while otherworldly entities hunt you down. Mute and anxious, Ai is grateful when she makes a group of friends to play with. But it turns out that the ghostly apparitions trapped in the world of dusk aren't the only things she has to contend with. Ghosts can be cruel, but children even more so. Your classmates harbor dark thoughts and harrowing secrets that you must uncover to progress. Throughout the game, Ai will learn about her new friends. Perhaps more than she would care to know. Gameplay here is a fairly simple loop. There are no weapons or attacks that you'll be performing. Instead, this is a game about stealth. You'll need to navigate a maze-like structure while avoiding different types of haunting entities. Each entity type requires you to employ a different strategy to sneak your way through. Shadow people can't see, but have sensitive hearing. You can evade them by holding your breath, which is triggered with the hold of a button. Soon can't see much, but his hearing is superb. If you don't hold your breath and hide, he'll find you in a flash. Then these tall shadows have quite good eyesight, but don't respond to noise, except for the high-pitched sound of glass breaking. So you'll need to snake your way around obstacles, keeping out of their line of sight and watching out for broken glass. Make it to the end of the branching corridors to pick up the doll, and then quickly retrace your steps back to the start of the level with it, because at this point, a very dark and disturbing entity will begin to chase you. As color fades from your sight, you know it's getting close. Quickly hide and take cover until it passes by. This is the point in the game where my butt muscles get a workout. It's quite an ass clencher as you rush to the beginning of the level to burn the doll. As you progress, much of the story is presented in text form, so you'll need to do a bit of reading. But mid-chapter, there are auditory moments where you hear traumatic memories. There are also small jump scare moments sparsely scattered throughout the chapters. But beyond this, there isn't really much in the way for exploration. You will occasionally find keys to unlock doors, but I didn't ever feel excited to explore, which is usually one of my favorite things to do. One of the first things that drew me to the game was the visual style. The vibrant, warm red sunsets, and on PlayStation 5 or Series X, it claims to support 4K 60 frames per second. And while the game does look really nice at first glance, I quickly realized that your character doesn't cast shadows and your hands and arms are always lit by some magical light source, so there really isn't any dynamic lighting going on here. It just kind of gives off that impression. The other thing I found a bit disappointing here is that each chapter looks and feels the same. There's no real change in terrain, and it even adds a bit of confusion when trying to navigate as everything just starts to look the same after a while. I would have loved to see the chapters each with a theme of their own, but my conclusion here is that they do a very effective job at making the game look really nice on a small budget, while giving the game a unique look, namely the memorable red warm sunsets. The sound here is important in recognizing what's happening in your surroundings, whether the next room over or while you are hiding. It's pretty effective here and does well to fit the atmosphere of the game, even down to these cicadas fitting well within the Japanese theme. There isn't much in the way of music, it's mostly environmental sounds, until you have the dark entity chasing you. As for my overall thoughts on this, I was a little bit disappointed at first, but I think that's just because I went into this game blind, knowing absolutely nothing about it and expecting something else. I was hoping for visuals and sounds to go with the setup of the story, since this is a game after all, but instead I had to make my way through a few walls of text before I was just thrown into the game. It felt like things weren't really explained well enough in the beginning. Even though I knew what I was supposed to do, I didn't really understand how long I needed to hide or what the different noises I was hearing meant. I had to very awkwardly figure things out in that first chapter. Now once I cleared the first chapter, I had a pretty good idea of how the gameplay loop worked, and I enjoyed my time with the rest of the game a lot more. With only 5 chapters, this game is on the shorter side. Now there is a bit of replayability within those 5 chapters, because after you clear the game, you'll replay those same 5 chapters with some new creatures and notes to collect, which give you a bit more information on the other classmates, so it adds a little bit of incentive here. On top of this, there are also 4 different endings depending on which set of chapters you're on and what you do at the end. Of course, the digital version is priced at only $22. I still wish the game were fleshed out a little bit more. There really isn't a whole lot of meat to chew on here. For my money, I would either go with a physical edition or wait for a sale on digital, unless you're a huge fan of horror games. Like I said though, I had a good time playing through, and I'm sure I'll be pooping out diamonds tomorrow from all that tensing up. Anyway guys, those are just my thoughts on the game. Hopefully this helps for any of you that are on the fence about this one. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I will see you later.